out whether the bun makes it look like I have my life together or if it makes it look like I have everything but my life together. And we all know it's the latter, so... Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, well, going again with the controversial topics, but not really, with authors that I am no longer planning to read from. Again. Why can I phrase everything in the worst way possible, but it feels so natural out of my mouth? 'Tis the question. So, this is a topic that I feel like a lot of people have an answer to. Either you've read one book by an author and it was very problematic, so you just don't want to go there again, or you read multiple books by the same author and you just realise it's not for you, which is perfectly fine. Everyone has different tastes, everyone has different opinions. It's all good. I have kind of a mix of both, and one that maybe I will read from again, but it's unlikely from this moment. We will start with that one, and then we'll go into the other authors. As always, let me know down below see what I mean? Which authors you have given up on in recent years, and also yell at me for always moving my hands like I'm Alexis, and I'm not Alexis. But I feel like I'm going to boop you at any moment. Starting off with the one I might read from again, but it's unlike, oh my god, my bun's given up on life. Oh my god, same. Okay. John Green. Now, I've read all of his books except An Abundance of Catherines. Catherines, I think. I read all of his books as a teenager. Now, the last time I read from him, I think I was 19, so just out of teenagehood, and that was Turtles All the Way Down, which I enjoyed. And that's been the only book from him that I've actually fully enjoyed. So that's leaving me questioning whether, if he releases a new book, is it going to be better than Turtles All the Way Down? AKA, because I feel like his books kind of, well, Fault in Our Stars, wow, sexist, mine, Jesus. But this is his most popular book, obviously. And I did like it. It sent me down a path of devastating YA contemporaries, which was so good when you're a teenager with mental health issues to read those kind of books. I say that sarcastically, but also it is kind of nice because you see yourself in characters. And, you know, when I was reading Mistborn, I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm Vin. You know, whereas if I'm reading a depressed teenager who spends all her nights on Tumblr posting black and white pictures thinking she's being artsy, I can relate to that at 15, which I didn't really want to admit on the internet, but I mean, I did it on the internet, so here we are. So I think that was his first book, but I liked it, didn't love it. Gave it 3 stars even as a teenager, so I feel like if I'd read it now, it might be less. I'm thinking of giving it a reread to see whether I want to unhaul it or not, but the effort is a lot, and I don't really have that amount of effort within me right now. So keeping it on my shelves, and we'll see. I hated Looking for Alaska and Paper Towns. I think I gave them both 2 stars, which again, I've mentioned before, my rating system's kind of kooky, so we're just gonna, whenever I rate something without saying any words, just assume I'm like talking out of my head. Talking out of my ear, what's it saying? Arse. Okay, I can't use that. Just assume I'm not correctly putting out my feelings in the bookosphere. But Turtles All the Way Down, I liked. I found the OCD rep very well done, and based on Own Voices reviews I've read since, a lot of people found it well done. I didn't necessarily like the mystery element of the story, but I liked the main character. I thought she was very well written, and I liked the topic. So if he comes out with a new book, I think it'll be a case of me waiting to see what other people think and then using their opinions to choose whether I'm going to pick it up or not. But as of this moment, I don't really have an interest in John Green. I think I've out-aged his books, which is fine. As a teenager, I like them, kind of. Well, not, I like 1.5. Maybe I'll read from him again. It's a mess. Okay. The second author is Ruta Sapati, or Sapatis. I never realised there was an S at the end of her name. She writes YA historical fiction. I've read Salt to the Sea, this one, and Between Shades of Grey. Didn't like either. She has another one, Foundations of Silence, I think. If I've learnt to do this, I'll put it here. But I just have no interest. I find her stories poorly written, which really bothers me. Both this one, right? No, this one was based on a boat. Queen of describing books. Yes, it's about immigrants on a boat in 1945 heading to just escape. Yeah. Salt to the Sea by Sapati. The next author is Sapati, the author of Salt to the Sea, Between Shades of Grey, and I think her third book is the only one I haven't read, and I think it's called Foundations of Silence or something like that. If I've learnt to do this, I'll put a picture, but all her books are historical fiction, and though I like that she varies her topics. It's not just all World War II, and I like that. But I find her writing very poor, and that bothers me. Her characters, it always feels like she tries to jam too many characters in one story, so you don't really go into depth with any of them. And the main characters are always kind of samey, I've read 2 books by her, but I think she's only written 3, so I feel warranted to say her 2 characters that I've read as main characters were samey, and that bothered me. It felt like you could just pluck one, switch, and you wouldn't realise. I don't think she's very good at writing out relationships. Her descriptions of areas and places and events was alright. I felt like I was there. The atmosphere was good, but the characters really let her books down for me. And I'm already kind of niggling out of the YA phase, and I think these are the only YA historical fictions I've read, and I just rather read an adult historical fiction at this point. I do appreciate how blunt her books are based on the parts of history that she writes about. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, which for a YA book, I know YA now is more, I suppose it'd be classed as new adult. I'm still kind of coming to terms with the differences, but I liked how brutal she wrote some scenes because it's realistic for the time period. But I just don't think her writing's for me, and I'm very unlikely to pick up anything else by her. The next book is, I have many reasons, Rainbow Rowell. Now, the obvious reason is this book. Her very, very questionable way of writing certain races in both this one, and I believe there was some problem in Landline, I read somewhere on Twitter. And I've read Fangirl by her, which again, I read as a young teenager, and I enjoyed it. I didn't like the fan fiction element of it, but I was never a huge Harry Potter fan, so I think it just kind of missed the mark for me in that. But I liked the commentary on anxiety and that teenage mental health stage that it seems everyone goes through, where you're just lost and you don't even understand your own brain. And I liked that element of it. But then I tried to read Eleanor and Park, DNF'd it. I tried to read Attachments, DNF'd it. I tried to read Landline, DNF'd it. I own Carry On, and I was debating reading that, but a lot of people seem to hate the sequel, so what's the point of starting a series if it's just going downhill? And the author's problematic. So I will never read from Rainbow Rowell again. And the only reason I've kept this is because I was planning to do a video, so now I can put it in one of those little free libraries. Maybe with a post-it. It is sad though, because it's a signed copy, which is cool, but no. The next author is a bit of a John Green. It's unlikely I'm going to read from her again, but given the right reviews or hype, I may buy into the hype train. And that's Paula Hawkins, the author of Into the Water and Girl on the Train. I'm not the biggest thriller reader, but I've seemed to read a lot of thrillers. Thrillers for me are the books when you don't know what you want to read, or you're in a reading slump, or you're just scrolling for an audiobook, I tend to just choose a random thriller because I tend to always give them 3 stars, but I enjoy the reading experience enough to carry on reading them. I think I burnt myself out about a year and a half ago. I read a lot of thrillers, so they all started to become as one in my brain, and I just overdid myself basically. But Paula Hawkins, I read Girl on the Train as my second ever thriller. Like most people, Gone Girl was my first, and I liked Gone Girl. I didn't love it at the time, but looking back at it, I realised it's a much better written thriller than other thrillers. So I think I'm going to give that a reread at some point in my life. But Girl on the Train, I did not like. I felt like the characters were all dislikable. It was kind of predictable. It had that drunk woman, wife cheating trope that so many thrillers have, that now I see that's what I don't like in thrillers. But at the time I was like, this just doesn't feel good. I didn't like the writing that much, and the entire plot just bothered me. When Into the Water came out, I was like, I'm not reading that, even though the cover is very pretty. I was like, I'm not reading that. And then I saw a lot of people on BookTube enjoy it. So naturally, I was like, okay. And I read it. And I did prefer this one over Girl on the Train, I'm not going to lie. But the thing that really bugs me about Paula Hawkins is that I feel like she writes female characters the way men write female characters in thrillers. Like, all her characters are the cliche versions of what a female character can be. And I hate that. It bugs me. All the husbands are a-holes. There's no redeeming quality about any of the characters. It tends to be predictable, or it will be predictable until like the 80% point, and then she'll throw in a random plot twist, which you won't see coming. But also it doesn't necessarily make sense for the story or something. And I don't know. Her thrillers just don't seem to be for me. As I said, if she releases a new one and it tends to get a lot of hype and people are saying it's her best book yet or whatnot, then I may feel the need to pick it up. But I just don't think her writing's for me, which is fine. Now, Heather Morris. I read Tattooist of Auschwitz many years ago now, around when it first got released, and I liked it. And then all the problematic things came out about it, and I was left being, No. I think that was my first full-on historical World War II fiction. Then I read The Nightingale, and that kind of made me realise how not well done Tattooist of Auschwitz was. But I saw this in a free mini library thing that we have scattered around where I live, and I just felt the need to pick it up for no reason. I had seen some people say it was pretty well done. Now I don't know if they were high, but this was not good. All the characters were awful, except the main character. And the other characters made such idiotic choices. Because if you don't know, Silk is a character from the first book, and this is about her, once she got out of the camp, she got imprisoned for sleeping with the enemy, but she was sleeping with the enemy to help the women in the first book. And one, I don't like that the author wrote about a real woman without any knowledge from family members or friends or full-on history, really. It felt like she was writing a fan fiction but of a real person, and I don't like that. I hated that all the female characters were horrible to each other. Silka was such a pushover, and her reasoning behind that didn't fully make sense. I felt like for the decisions she made later in the book, she was smarter than what she did. The writing I didn't full on like. It felt like she put in plot twists that were rape and sexual assault, which is rape but in various other forms, abuse, women injuring the other women for stupid reasons, and I didn't like that their misery was meant to be a plot twist. So I'm not going to read from Heather Morris again, and I'm going to donate this. And last but not least, Alice Feeney. Now, I saw Victoria from What Victoria Read, who I'll link down below, read this, and I'd read it around 2 weeks prior to her reviewing it, and I felt so seen because this book is the most problematic bunch of garbage I've ever read. Before this, I read Sometimes I Lie by her, but mainly because they're doing a TV adaptation with Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is my everything. So I was like, okay, I'm in. I read it, and that was very problematic too. It had certain rape elements of it that were just brushed over, which I did not like at all. And the whole thing was a cliche of the thriller genre. It had a decent twist near the end, but it just felt so effed up, but without the book actually acknowledging how effed up it was, and I did not like that. I read this one not realising it was the same author as Sometimes I Lie, because I apparently don't remember names. And I picked this up randomly on audio in October because I was just going through thrillers that I had on my shelf that I'd randomly picked up at library sales and such, and given them a go to see if I was going to donate or keep. Plus I like the cover, sadly. But Alice Feeney seems to have very good thriller ideas, but the things she puts in for a shock shouldn't be a shock element of a thriller. Like, I feel like this comes round to that discussion on whether thrillers should put content warnings for such things like rape. Because in so many thrillers, they use it as a plot device, but that shouldn't be a plot device. If you're a good writer of a thriller, you do not need to use misery that actual humans go through in real life without the thriller world as your plot twists. I've read so many decent thrillers that I enjoyed and that were atmospheric and everything without it having the main character be raped or have the book be transphobic or homophobic. It isn't necessary. So that bugged me, and I will link Victoria's vlog for this because she goes into full spoilers about everything that's problematic in it, and I don't want to look up to remind myself of the garbage that I read. Alice Feeney is the one author that I'm just annoyed that I read 2 books by her, because at this point it's just, you don't need this for a thriller. You just don't. So yeah, they're the authors that I'm fully given up on and maybe will read again, but at this moment I'm going to be reluctant to pick up their books. Again, write below what authors you feel this way about, and if you have any opinions of these authors, let me know. And I hope to see you soon. And thank you if anyone's commented on previous videos, because I'm bulk filming right now, so I appreciate everything.